So we begin. Take the time to just settle into your chair, observing the body, relaxing a little more. And with your eyes closed, we enter into a breathing pattern, inhaling nose for the count of 4, exhaling mouth for the count of 8. Let's start together. Exhaling completely. Inhaling nose on 1, on 2, on 3, on 4. Exhale mouth on 1, on 2, on 3, 4, on 5, on 6, on 7, on 8. Inhaling nose on 1, on 2, on 3 to maximum. Exhale mouth 1, on 2, on 3, on 4, 5, on 6, on 7, 8. Continue at your own speed and range. Inhaling deeply for 4 through nose, smooth transition. Exhaling slowly, completely through mouth for the count of 8. Keeping the breathing pattern, with the next exhalation, softly closing the mouth. So we inhale nose for the count of 4 and exhaling nose for the count of 8. With the next exhalation, dropping the breathing pattern, natural breath. There is nothing to do. Everything is happening by itself. Being aware. The isness of this moment and all that comes with it. Resting in presence. Present moment mind, resting with the sensation of sound. Gross sounds, subtle sounds. Letting the ears do what they do. Awareness of sound. as if all else disappears and only sound remains. Awakening the sense of sound, we begin generous listening. So please unmute yourself. Christopher? Here we are.
Well, thank you, Bhaskar. That was a wonderful meditation that you led us through to get us going here. And thanks for having me on. I really appreciate you inviting me here to be here today. And for everybody that's joining, this is my first time being in the Global Daana group. So I'm excited to experience this just as much as everybody else is. So this is actually my first live performance in well over 10 years. So I used to do this a lot, and I have not done anything like this for a very long time. And I'll get into a little bit of my story of how that came to be. So I'm pumped. I'm over here just really excited to be able to play and share some of my music. hopefully the sound quality is not too bad, and because I'm recording off a mic here, it's picking up live sound. But my name's Christopher Booth, and I am from Seattle area, so right outside, about 30 minutes outside of Seattle, Washington. And I have a YouTube channel called the By Christopher YouTube channel, and that is something that I started about 3 years ago, and started as a mission for mental health awareness. And I wanted to write some songs similar to what you just heard that were going to bring peace and calm into people's lives. And it really started off as a hobby. I was like, I was going to just throw some songs together for the heck of it and see what happened. And it really got a good reception. And that was kind of scary because I was like, I just wanted to write for friends and family, and then people were asking for more. So I decided to embark upon an album that I was going to do, and that song that you just heard was called "The Beginning," and how appropriately it was played at the beginning of this session. So that was there's a nice little poem that goes along with that, and it says, when was your beginning? We have no recollection of our beginning. Was it the time you looked into the abyss of your life and decided to go onward? Was it the day you met your lover? No, it was the day you lived on in the life of another. And that is the poem that I wrote to accompany this song. And that was something that I was inspired to write when my partner and I found out that we were going to be having a baby. So that was a very inspirational piece for me to write. And that was the first song that I wrote for my album called A Reflection of Time. And so that's basically the premise of what I do. But there's lots to talk about. There's lots to talk about why I do music therapy, what music therapy is, how that is brought into people's lives today, and why it's so important, especially in the times we're living in. I started, like I said, this project of writing the album 2 years ago, and when COVID happened was when I was supposed to release the album, and that didn't happen because collaborative work and things were not happening. The photographer I was going to work with bowed out, and it had a little bit of a setback in my own life there. So I had to reimagine what this album was going to be and how I was going to bring it to the people that I wanted to share it with. And during the summer months of last year, you started hearing the stories come out. People were dealing with new stresses in their lives, new anxieties. And that started thinking, that mental health was going to be a bigger thing than even what it was already. I mean, already is a big thing. There's lots of people that suffer with challenges, and my own family, that's why I have a passion for it, is one of the reasons why I do what I do. But when I started hearing those stories about, stress, alcohol abuse, drug use that were starting, I thought, I could really bring this together and have a campaign with it and get a conversation started around checking your own mental health and being aware and what are you doing for yourself. And that is a conversation we can't have too often, because I think it's becoming a little bit more socially acceptable to talk about it. But if you're being real about mental health, are you talking about yourself, right? Or are you talking about someone you know? Because it's easy to talk about people you know, but it's hard to look at yourself and say, what am I doing? And my expertise comes in the music field, so I'm an expert there. That's what I'm good at. And so I know the power of music. I know what music can do. I know what it's done for me. It saved my life many, many times. And music's a place I can go and calm my mind. I can talk to, and it talks back to me. And that what you hear is coming out is the language of which I receive and I'm able to speak through. It's a medium for me. So a little bit about that. I'm going to be playing some songs tonight. I have a few songs picked out, special ones that are very special to me. That first one, I explained why that was special. I have another song. It's called The River Song. And The River Song is the first song I had written when I started this 3 years ago. It was the first song I wrote. And I had taken a quite a break from writing, and I'll get into that after this song. But The River Song was a song I was down near Olympia, where it's the capital of Washington, and it was a hot summer's day, and I was down at the river and just listening to the rustle of the river. And I thought, I want to capture this in time and remember this moment because it's so perfect. And the way the warmth of the air was hitting my face, and just the sound and rustle of the trees and the peaceful rushes of the river. And I wanted to capture that in music. And so this is what I wrote, and this is what I put up, and it's still on my YouTube channel if you want to listen to it again later. So this is The River Song. So that again was The River Song. You can hear a lot of the flow of that piece, and that I tried to incorporate as part of the river, and just how it made me feel. So I hope you enjoyed that. And again, I have that on my channel for those that want to listen. So I'm going to talk a little bit about music therapy and what that is and why people do it. And I think everybody does it on a daily basis. People listen to music to feel good. People turn that first thing on in the morning in their cars, right? They do it to put themselves into a good place for the day. So most people are already doing it, but doing it with intention, that's a different thing, right? That takes different meaning to music therapy. And I was having a conversation with a gentleman this morning. We were talking about music therapy and what that is, and he was talking about how it makes you feel positive, and I offered to him, I said, well, I think there's something else to that as well. I think that people listen to music to let go of unresolved emotions within them, right? To be able to give themselves permission to let go and begin the healing process. Anyway, I think music can reach a place in a person's soul that verbal talking cannot, right? So there's many reasons why people will seek out music specifically with intention of either putting themselves into a good place or being able to start again and build themselves up. The album that I wrote this and just released in January was a result of a 2-year process. And I guess I'll talk a little bit about my mom. My mom was a huge influence in my life as far as getting me started on a music path. And she encouraged my writing. She encouraged my writing style. She was my best critic. I mean, she was someone that, boy, she would tell me if she liked it and she would tell me if she didn't like it. And she never filtered that. And that was one of the best things for me because I got so much good critique from her. But in 2012, she developed brain cancer and passed away. And that was a very, very difficult time and dark place for me in my life. A lot of unresolved issues with my mom and just, feeling like I didn't do enough and I wasn't enough to be able to help her and give her what she needed. So it really kind of put the damper on my writing and me releasing more music and writing more music. So this album that I did recently, for me personally, was a very healing process. It was a process and a style of writing that that comes from a dark place, but it allowed the healing process to really start to begin and really start to move forward. Anyone that's lost a loved one knows that you never fully recover, but how you recover and how you move forward and how you deal with it changes and evolves over time. So when people listen to my music, especially the first song, the beginning, they say that's such a peaceful song, or the songs are so beautiful, or the songs are, whatever they mean to the listener. But at the same time, it has come from a very personal and emotional spot within me to be able to bring that out. And so that's why this is such an important cause, I think, for me as well as others, because I'm able to speak to others in a way that language transcends language, as it were. So that is that's a little bit about, I guess, a long way of saying music is able to, what music is able to do for you is a very personal experience, right? If you're listening to a song and you don't like it, what do most people do? They turn the station, or they turn it off or something. And that's kind of how I express what my music is to the listener. I said, look, it might work for you, it might not, but that's fine. Can you have a conversation about it? Can you start to begin to heal? Can you begin to talk about your emotions openly? Can you address your own mental health? Can you do it in a safe place with the right kind of support? Family support is such a big thing. I've been fortunate enough to be able to have family support and be able to have that. And, it's a blessing, but not everybody has that. So knowing where to turn, who you can turn to, is such a big thing for people that are trying to heal from trauma and emotional scarring. So anyway, on that note, there is a song in the album, "A Reflection of Time," which is the second track. Yeah, it's called "Mirrors," and there's a theme throughout the album, which is reflective. So mirrors is reflection, a reflection of time. But Mirrors was a song that I wrote for my mom recently. And that was a song I didn't know if I was going to be able to put onto the album. I didn't know if I wanted to release that because it was so personal to me. And I would love to play that for you tonight. So this is Mirrors. So that one was Mirrors again, and it has that very haunting past feel to it, and that is intentional. So that is I'm seeing the heart on the screen. That's thank you for that. Yeah. So so I want to talk a little bit about kind of my musical influences and how I began to write like this and who influenced me a lot. And of course, I mentioned my mom. She's the one that bought me the little organ at a garage sale. And at 6 years old, I was apparently, from her stories, writing my own music or creating my own songs. So that's and then shortly thereafter, I remember my first piano lesson and being able to find middle C on the piano. So that was my first recollection of music and being exposed to that, and I just remember being hooked ever since. So but another big influence in my life and in my musical writing style was the songwriter Jim Brickman, and I don't probably you've heard of him, but he's definitely one that I've seen in concert many times. I have met him a few times, and his writing style has a big impact on me. I remember it was 2001, I did my first album. So I've only got 2 albums, and my first album was in 2001, and I was 17 years old at the time, and Jim Brickman was going to be at our local Fred Meyer, and I was so excited to go see him. And I had just made my new album CD. So this is, when we had CDs still. I went down to the Fred Meyer to give it to him, and I was so excited to hand him that CD. And I thought, man, he's gonna be calling me up any day and asking to sign me to his label. I don't know if you ever listened to it, but I liked it. And 17 years old, you really don't know what you're doing in life, and you really don't know what you want. But I knew I liked writing music, and then the public performance thing was a little bit of I don't know if I like this. I don't know if I want to, do that full time. But that was he was a big influence in my life, and still is. He's still around. He's still out there playing. So, but also not musical focused. But my grandfather was the biggest classical music fan I know. I mean, he listened to it all the time, and I mean all the time. He had it playing constantly. So I was able to develop a love of classical music through him. And he had just a tremendous impact on my life because, as I said, my mom was my harshest critic. My grandpa was my biggest fan. So when he came over to our house, I mean, I had a program of music ready to play for him, all classical, and he would sit down, and he was the best listener in the world. He would just listen, and just always wanted more. So I could play for an hour or two for him, and it'd be like nothing. So he lived to I think 97, and he passed away about 4 or 5 years ago. And I miss him a lot, but part of writing the album was to incorporate him into it somehow because he had a tremendous impact on my musical upbringing and the classical music appreciation that I have and that I'm trying to pass on to my daughter as well. So I wrote a song and it's called Hymn to the Memory. And I'll talk a little bit more about that after I play it, but I'd like you to hear Hymn to the Memory. Yes, yes. So it has a little bit of a kind of almost think of it like as a war memorial theme. It's kind of he served in World War II, so I kind of did that homage to him and put that into the piece. But yeah, I mean he really was a huge influence to me. So from 2001, when I released my first album, Journeys, to about 2010, I really transitioned over to the teaching side, and I still wrote songs, but I was so much more at peace being inside the studio and not in the public view. And I had 20 teachers, I believe, or 20 students at one point. um, that's a lot of work. So I've scaled down since then. But like I said, when 2012 came around, that is when I lost my mom, and then there's the gap from there till about 2017 when I started writing music again. And what you hear now is kind of a newer style for me, but the Journeys album really is where I got my start and where I developed my love of writing. And so I guess just to tie it all back together and to talk a little bit about, I think what I'm working on right now is the album is out and I've been getting really good feedback, but something I've been hearing from people through feedback and people writing to me is that they want some form of meditation music. And it's hard to meditate to songs when you're humming them in your head, right? So these I call more for relaxing and at the end of the day, kind of taking the edge off. So I've started writing a series of meditation music called 7 Weeks of Focus. And 7 Weeks of Focus is designed around 20 minutes of music, very just Zen sounds. It's all piano, but it just relaxes you. And you can meditate to it, or you can do mindfulness practices, yoga, whatever you want. Or if you just want it on in the background for something a little different. But I'm doing one a week and really excited about this series because each soundtrack is going to have its own intention behind it. So, for instance, the one that I'm doing for Tuesday is called Breathe in Light, Breathe Out Stress. And we need more of that right now, breathing out the stress. But I'll have 7 of them. And so they'll be, in total, when the first 2 are already out, the rest of them will be out shortly over the next few weeks. And overall, there'll be 140 minutes of meditation music. And you can kind of pick and choose which ones you like and go that route. But there's going to be a little something for everyone. It kind of starts a little bit more subdued. And as the weeks are going to go, it's going to kind of brighten into more of a compassion for humanity ending. That's going to be the final one, is compassion for humanity. So you'll have compassion for yourself and then compassion for humanity. And I think that was an appropriate way to end the series of 7 Weeks of Focus. But I'm kind of just at the point right now where I'm doing things based on how I'm feeling the momentum swing. And boy, it's just a lot of people out there right now that are really starting to discover within themselves how much they need calm. And whatever it is, that can be a walk out into the woods, that can be a hike in the mountains, and that can be, some people like to blast rock and roll in their car. And if you can relax to that, then that's what you need, then great. But for me, nature is a big part of influence in my writing style. And if I'll talk about my YouTube channel in a little bit, but on the videos, I accompany all the videos with photography, and it's all nature themed. So that kind of helps the listener ease into the song a little bit more, and it gives you a little bit more of insight to how I was feeling and what I was thinking when I wrote the songs. And then each song is accompanied with poetry as well. So I write the poetry myself and accompany that, and it gives you something to think about when you're listening. I kind of like that. I'm not a lyricist in that way. I've written some songs that should have lyrics, but I'm not really much of a lyricist in that. But I really enjoy the writing style. So let's see. Should we? How much? Where are we at for time here? Got a few minutes. I can do one more song. I'm going to finish with a happy song, with something that's a little bit more uplifting. It's called "The Walk Home," and then we can do some Q&A if we want, and I'll wrap it up. So this is called "The Walk Home." Anyway, that is the walk home, and I hope you enjoyed those songs. And like I said, I have a YouTube channel. You can all check out all these songs and more, lots more on there. It's youtube.com/by Christopher. If you go onto YouTube and you search by Christopher, I am now the first result you get, which is awesome because it wasn't always that way. So check it out, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. That helps support me and gets my music out there a little bit more for everybody to enjoy. So I'll hand it over, and if you have any questions, comments, I'm happy to answer them.
Well, maybe I can start with offering
Yes.
a little backstory.
Yeah.
One fine morning, I was checking my LinkedIn. I rarely do that. And there's a whole bunch of generic messages, and suddenly I saw Christopher B. And it was personal. It was, hey, Bhaskar, I see that you're a yoga teacher and meditation teacher. I compose music for mental well-being, and I want to offer you this music for you and your students. I hope you enjoy it. And he put a link there. Oh, what a strange thing. He's just, so I said, all right, cool, I'll check it out. So while I was working, I was listening to Christopher's music, and I was so taken by it. And I just became very curious. Who would do that? Who would compose such beautiful music and just gift it for me to enjoy it like this? I was compelled to reach out to Christopher. And I'm very grateful I did, because I met this sweetest human being, and this extreme generosity and compassion. This almost like objectively realizing that people are suffering, and there's a gift I can offer. Please use this gift to benefit humanity. I found it so touching, pure compassion. So I just want to express how much I appreciate, this kindness that you're offering the world, and helping people come out of their suffering of mental dis-ease. And I, as I heard you playing, I felt that the Father's being born in the first song. I felt the river and the warm sun on my face in the second song. I felt this pure love of a child to a mother, and then the admiration to a mentor, and just walking down this beautiful street, in this journey of life in the last song. I felt you captured it so beautifully. I guess my only question is, how can we serve this gift?
Well, like I said, I tell people that come back to me and ask, what can I do? And I say, if it impacts you positively, I think maybe I've coined the phrase, play it forward.
Mm-hmm.
Give it to someone else, share it with someone else. And that goes for all music. It doesn't just go for my music. It goes for anything. If it's impacted you positively, if something has done something for you, then it's going to do something for someone else, and you can pass that along. You can give that and keep the compassion going forward. So that's what I tell people, and I just say, you know what, that's kind of what my mission is right now, just to be able to give people more access to more positivity and resource in this country and the world.
And it's also very inspiring for people with other gifts as well. Yours is music. You know, you put
Yeah.
together this 2-year project and you know, offered it to the world. For somebody else, it might be fitness. I know there's somebody here
Yeah.
who's offering the gift of dance. And so it's very inspiring that we live in a time when these kind of compassionate, generous acts can be offered to anybody in the world through this
Yeah.
medium. So I open it to our other dear listeners. Any thoughts, questions, observations, please feel free.
When you play, you said you play the piano. Is the music recorded on a real piano or on a synthesizer?
So what you hear, I have right in my studio is a Yamaha Montage, and it's a beast of a keyboard. Let me tell you, it basically is recorded. It's that I'm playing off a full concert grand. So what you hear is the actual recording of a full concert grand piano being played off my speakers here. But the songs that you hear on YouTube, if I'm understanding your question correctly, that's all. I played that live. I recorded it, and then it's just uploaded. So, but what you're hearing right now is all live and in real time. So there's nothing that's recorded. Yeah. Thank you for.
I like the river one.
The river song. Yes. Yeah.
The flow in there. That was nice.
Oh,
yes,
I saw butterflies and dragonflies and.
Good. That's what it was. That's what it was like for me. And if you listen to the recording of it, if you search for it in my channel, I'm sure the audio quality is a lot better, but it's a lot fuller and richer, and you'll hear a lot more subtle things coming through the sound that you probably aren't going to pick up. I'm not going to be able to pick up on this mic right now, but thanks for that. Yeah, I appreciate that. It's nice to meet you folks.
Nice to meet you. I like the last one, the walk home, because for the last few months we've been going out for daily walks, and apparently my legs are much longer than Luke's. So I get a lot of, slow down, slow down, slow down. And we live in an area that there's horses. So if you've ever been on a horse on a trail ride, when it's time to come back to the barn, the horse goes really fast.
Yeah.
So on our way home from our walk, Luke will say to me, "Do you smell the barn, Rosie?" So it's kind of grinning when I listen to that.
Yeah, there's a passage at the end of that song that I put into the poem that says, "Home is not anywhere I had to journey, but I traveled anyway. I am home on the shores of your memory, but so far away."
Oh.
And that spoke to me when I was writing this song, because home isn't anywhere you do have to journey. It's comes from within. So yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christopher, with so much of yourself wrapped up in the songs, and it's obvious from everything we've heard, you're giving this out. How do you make yourself less vulnerable? Like, this has got to be a very personal moment too when you send it out.
Absolutely, yeah. Of course, it's extremely personal to me to be able to share a lot of this stuff and a lot of the music. But I think that comes with the healing process, right? There's a time in my life when I wasn't even going to write a song. I had sworn it off. It was, life was over as I knew it. And through that journey of self-discovery, you learn how to process the emotions and how to process the hurt and the pain. And music is that for me. People ask me all the time, what music means to me. And music is like a person. It literally is a person. I can go into here, I can come into here, turn off the lights and speak one-on-one and communicate. And as I was able to write this and pull this out, I've been able to talk more about my mom and things that have been quite painful for me to do. I'm a person, I'm really embracing that moment and really embracing this time right now as something that is necessary for me and hopefully impacting others as well.
And the other thing you mentioned about you accompany some of your songs or all your songs with a poem.
So for the Reflection of Time album, so there's 10 songs in the album. Each song does have a poem attached to it. I wrote 3 songs in 2017 for mental health awareness. And I do believe I wrote poetry for those too. Yes, I did. And then the Journeys album, that was a CD. So that was a completely different time. That was all just audio that I re-uploaded to YouTube. And then the photography is not original on that. That was stuff I just threw on there because I wanted to share that album too. So.
And the question is it a chicken and egg? Which came first? Was the song first and then it inspired a poem, or was it parallel? How'd that come out?
That is a good question. So the music came from a place that's very near and dear to me. It's a beach. It's a waterway down in Olympia, and I've spent time down there before as a kid and recently. And when I was there, I had a lot of these songs come to me, and so yeah, I wrote the songs, and then when I did the photography, I went back there and captured what was going through my mind as a kid and as a youth and all this stuff. So it kind of fed itself, right? It kind of came back full circle for me. Good questions, though. I like those. I like that. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Anybody else have any questions, ideas, jokes?
Jokes. None I can tell here.
So what came up for me is, in my childhood, I used to read a lot of fairy tale books, and I had to use my imagination. I had to imagine the mountain and the castle and the river and the forest. And this faculty of imagination, I find, is just being robbed of us nowadays, because the images are fed to you. It's literally on the screen. There's no room for imagination. And so when you played the river song, for example, it brought me to imagine a river. It was my personal river. I had to use my faculty of imagination. So in a very beautiful way, although you express something personal to you, you also kind of made it personal to me, because it was my river, very uniquely created in the imagination. So I just wanted to kind of celebrate that you're bringing imagination back in this universal language, which is piano, that anybody can access your own private river through your music.
Yeah, that's awesome. You're able to do that. And yeah, I agree. I mean, there's everywhere you go. I mean, it's screens everywhere. I mean, it's your phone, it's your tablets, it's your devices. Everything is just given to you 24/7, and it really trains you how not to imagine, right? So that's the beauty of music. Whatever music you're listening to, and it makes you feel something. That what makes you feel happy might make someone else feel sad, but that's your own unique experience. And that's what's great about it, is that it can be that, and you can take ownership of that.
Let's land, dear ones, with a little metta practice. Metta is loving kindness. So we'll just take a moment to settle down and rest the awareness with the heart, just feeling sensations in the heart region. And I invite you to repeat mentally with intention. May this gift of Christopher's music, directly or indirectly, benefit all living beings. May peace prevail on this beautiful earth. Namaste. Thank you all for your generous listening, and of course, Christopher, for your generous gift.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure being here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.